This is Shimmy, Team Redshift member, very skilled Rocket League freestyler, and oh, sorry, I misread. The biggest cheater in Rocket League history, who 2 years ago now. What is the difference between these two players' aim? Even though the one on the left is snappy and pretty flashy, it's not hard to see their weaknesses. They're shaky on their micro-corrections and lack smoothness. Their motions are very jagged. On the other hand, the one on the right is much calmer. They look in control of their This is Shimmy, Team Redshift member, very skilled Rocket League freestyler, and oh, sorry, I misread. The biggest cheater in Rocket League history, who 2 years ago now got exposed by members of his team for faking all of this control of their crosshair and their motions much more seamless. The thing is, both these players are me. The left is from 3 years ago, the right today, and I'm a much better player for this change. But how did I go from a snappy style to a smooth one, and how did I do it without losing my flicking speed? If you looked up how to improve your smoothness online, you'd probably find something about staying calm and keeping your muscles perfectly relaxed. This is how most people go about getting smooth aim, and it can work for some situations. However, this method of aiming smoothly has one massive weakness. Your muscles are the things that make your aim fast. Relying on keeping them relaxed at all times for smoothness will massively limit your speed or your smoothness at higher speeds. I know this because I tried it. When I decided I wanted to make my aim smoother, I took this approach, but never got better at situations where I had to move quickly. The shakiness would come right back. So, keeping tension would be bad for smoothness, and yet necessary for good aim. Firstly though, let's have a look at why people think you should keep your aim relaxed to begin with. Try placing your hand gently on the mouse and moving it side to side. Now try again while pressing down firmly on all of the buttons. Doing this requires increasing the tension in our fingertips, and its particular movements are a bit more stepped when applying that downward force, which, when done in excess, can absolutely contribute to a lack of smoothness and lead to massive disconnects between motions. So, why don't we just not tense our hands when aiming? I think that comes down to the reason people start in the first place. It creates this feeling of control. When aiming at smaller targets or in high-stress situations, it's natural to apply more pressure, and from there, it's an easy habit to get into. That feeling of control is fake, though. Increasing tension in those situations makes it harder to make any movement, intentional or unintentional. So while you might become a bit more stable, it will make adjusting to movements next to impossible. Between the mechanical issues it causes and the risk to your hand's health it presents, excessive fingertip tension is absolutely a habit you should break. So it's clear where tension got its reputation from. People were applying too much when holding the mouse, stopped and noticed that their smoothness improved, then concluded that all tension was bad. But what if I told you that grip tension wasn't the only type of it, and that correctly utilizing the other type is the actual way to not only get better at reducing grip tension, but also for getting smoother aim? But to achieve this, we need to understand how tension affects different parts of our aim, both positive and negative, and figure out how we can avoid those problems that are so commonly associated with it. Let's go back to the clip from the start of the video again. That sudden burst of speed is achieved using tension, but instead of being located in the mouse grip, this tension is in the muscles of my wrist and arm. I have to place some stress in those muscles to get to that fast flicking speed. But then, how do I stop that movement? My approach at the time was to apply even more tension at the end of the flick. I like to think of tension as a scale from 1 to 10. The start of a movement like this might be a 5 and the end might be an 8. And this looks like it works. My crosshair does stop, but look at what happens after. I can't make the smooth micro adjustment that I need to reach the target. This is because we only have a limited amount of tension to go around. You can test this for yourself. Tense your arm as much as you possibly can to the point of it almost vibrating for 5 to 10 seconds, and then try to make very small movements with your arm straight away. It takes a while for it to recover from that exertion. The first movements will be shaky and jagged and only start to smooth out over time. This is called lockout and is what happens when you try to use more tension than you have available. In the case of the clip from earlier, I add extra tension to stop but have to wait to release that tension before I can micro adjust smoothly. I know we're talking fractions of a second here, but in a gunfight this difference is significant. Tensed, not tensed. Tensed, not tensed. This is just in the short term though, a tiny delay after an extreme burst of tension. But that isn't the only time this can happen. Both high amounts of tension very quickly and moderate amounts of tension over a long period of time can cause the exact same effect. An example of this might be a team fight in Apex. If your tension starts high and stays high, eventually you'll experience that same feeling. Your muscles will lock up and they just won't move right.